I'm Chris with uAvionix. We're here at State College Airport demoing our Airborne Position Reference Tool, APRT system up in the control tower. APRT is meant for towers that don't have any surveillance or radar up in the tower cab, so this system uses ADS-B only to provide controllers with that situational awareness around the airport. It's a common misconception that all control towers have surveillance in the control tower or some sort of radar feed, but there are 91 towers in the NAS that do not have anything.
We are regulated by the FAA. There's not too much of a difference between an FCT and an FAA tower besides equipment. Smaller airports like State College here, even though we do the same amount of operations as some of the FAA towers, we don't necessarily have the same equipment that an FAA tower may have, i.e. stars, which is where the APRT comes into play at smaller towers. Coming to a facility without a radar display, you have to be very familiar with aircraft characteristics and knowing how to sequence when there's not an actual display you can look at to aid you in sequencing aircraft to the airport. We can't use it as a certified radar display, say traffic 1 o'clock, 2 miles, but we can reference traffic to your right, traffic to your left, so the pilot gets a general idea of what the sequence is to the airport. Hi, I'd like to introduce Adam Krebs. He's one of the air traffic controllers here at State College. And this is the current setup that we have in operation right now. This is a typical day-to-day basis. To Adam's left, we see the actual APRT display. Those of us that have used stars in the past are very familiar with this. What this gives us is the ADS-B output from aircraft. It gives us the aircraft call sign, the aircraft's altitude, the aircraft speed, and the aircraft squawk. In addition to that, it gives us the aircraft track and its proposed direction of travel. Again, those of us that have used the stars, this is very familiar to all of us. So it's a seamless transition going from a stars display to an APRT display. APRT is in my scan every time I'm sequencing aircraft. I tend to find myself now always glancing at it to make sure that the pilot report was correct, to get spatial relationship between different aircraft, so on and so forth. APRT allows us to definitely spot the aircraft quicker. Again, going back to the air and pilot reports, if I'm looking west and the aircraft is actually east of the airport, definitely it will help us to acquire the aircraft quicker with the binoculars. The APRT has definitely decreased the workload. It makes life much easier when I know I have a backup system to kind of take a glance at to see where aircraft are actually at in their spatial relationship to each other.
My role in the Contract Tower Association is I've had the benefit or the privilege of serving on the Contract Tower Association policy boards since 2007. And really, I joined the board at that time because that was the time we were trying to develop our first airport traffic control tower here at State College. Since that time, the board has been advocating for various things that benefit control towers, and one of those things has been APRT. And my responsibilities here at State College as director are for the safe and efficient operation of the airport, and certainly the control tower itself provides that. But from inception of our tower in 2011, we've always looked for ways to enhance safety, and working with Midwest and Scott Timko, our tower manager, and the team here, it was a quick, easy decision to implement APRT. I've always wanted to give the team here at the control tower the tools they needed to enhance safety, and APRT was simply a no-brainer. So if you're an airport manager or director considering this, I think you need to give it your full consideration. Trying to get a stars is a long road. FAA may or may not fund that, and APRT, you can have it implemented and working within 6 months. And it's been a great asset for us here at State College Regional. With the volume of traffic we have and the fleet mix, the variety of those aircraft operating from 757s to small single-engine aircraft, it's been a real enhancement of safety for our controllers.
State College has commercial traffic to your corporate jet traffic to your student trainers. There's a pretty good volume of student activity here. With student activity come errant pilot reports. Using the APRT, it allows us to hone in to better realize where these student pilots are at. It's almost a daily occurrence that a student will say, hey, we're west of the airport, we're west of the airport, and they're actually east of the airport flying on a westbound heading. They don't question the pattern entry instructions. They just take what they're given, even though it doesn't make sense on their end. APRT definitely improves safety, and I'll give an example just from this past weekend. The Bonanza Oshkosh training formation flight was here. So we had about 25 to 30 Bonanzas doing formation training all throughout 360 degrees around the airport. Having the APRT was invaluable for us to get an idea of how the sequence was going to work, bringing all these formations back to the airport, because it was a non-stop event. Anything that helps provide a safety element to this airport, it can't be understated. APRT will definitely help with the high volume traffic that we get here at State College, in particular for the home football games and the hosted playoff games that we've had in the past here. We average anywhere between 300 to 500 operations on those days. So going from using a pair of binoculars to sequence to the airport to having a APRT system, it's definitely something we're looking forward to for this year.
Yeah, the approval process for APRT was very, very simple, much simpler than it was in trying to chase down stars for the control tower. So APRT, once it first came out and there was an approved system, we jumped on that right away, contacted our PIM, made the decision to bring APRT here to State College. The install from introduction to installation, 6-month period. It was quick. It was very, very easy. On the uAvionix side and the airport side, it was seamless for us.
uAvionix provided adequate training. It was web-based. We all watched the videos. There was some PowerPoint associated with it as well.
Yeah, the process for install with uAvionix was turnkey. uAvionix provided everything we needed for the equipment and installation. Obviously provided the monitor, and it's installed here in the tower cab, and then the other equipment is installed on the tower cab roof. It's been working very well since install. Yeah, my advice to those towered airports in the Federal Contract Tower program that don't have the benefit of radar, I think you certainly need to take a look at APRT and give it your strongest consideration.
The uAvionix APRT system has a design approval from the FAA and is currently the only ADS-B system with this approval.